Alrighty. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. We don't have camera functionality working, possibly something to do with the updates. But nevertheless, I will be able to bring you the action with the in-game cameras, all the onboards, the chase cam, and that's it. So we don't have the broadcast cam or the heli cam, which is going to be a little bit of a downer. But at least we can bring you the action. So we do join late in the qualifying session. We've got a 0 sitting comfortably on top, just riding on board at the moment with a 23 flat. Have seen him dip the 22s, so I dare say if the track has gone optimum, which it has, we might be on for a couple of improvements. Fly doing well there. BHR in P2, only half a second back with a comfortable lead to third, which is metal steel. Cheers Andrelli for the comment. It is better than nothing, but unfortunately, as we all know, the buggy game that is Assetto Corsa strikes again. So relative turnout tonight, 12 drivers, short track, tight track as well, so hopefully plenty of action. I'll do my best to not miss any of it and bring you all the highlights. We do have 1 hour of racing with a compulsory pit stop, so it's going to be interesting to see how people have planned their strategies, who's got their tyre pressures right for the temperature. Didn't see too many doing a proper race run last night, so I'm wondering if the last half of the race is an unknown for everyone, or who's done their homework. Feel free to get engaged in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. Two minutes left to quali. Everyone's going to get at least one more flyer, including those in the pits if they get out soon. Stick on board with the 0. Oh, and he's just gone deep at the corkscrew. He will get time to gather it up and go for another one. As we got Fly coming up, possibly on a flyer. Nope, that's not what I wanted. So yeah, I will be fumbling my way around the buttons. I do apologise. First time, and I don't have the functionality I need. G'day GT King. How come you're not in here? Had some good battles with you last season. Enjoyed myself thoroughly. You showed some mad pace, that's for sure. So Fly does narrow the gap on that last lap to a 0. He's only 2 tenths away, and he's on another flyer. We'll see what he can muscle the McLaren around Laguna in. Will he be the first driver to dip in the 22s? 0 has jumped into the pits as well, so that is his quali done. He's either confident with that, or possibly didn't get the car back over the line in time. Fly doing a fantastic job hitting his marks there. Solid lap so far. Can't tell if he's green or not, unfortunately, but it's looking like a good lap, and he's got nothing to lose, so he may as well send it. Metal Steel also closes the gap to second, only 4 tenths away, and he's on another flyer as well. As we clock ticks to 0, Metal pulls in. Fly, Psycho, Natman Scoop and Stozza are still out on the track. Fly still knocking apexes back like they're going out of fashion. Carries a little bit too much speed in there, but pulls it up. We'll cross the line with Sky and see what he does. Does not improve, but does secure P2. That man Scoop, second last on track, followed by Stozza. Let's see if we get any improvement from these boys, as it looks like Stozza's gone off. He has. He's gone round. Hard corner to get right, but hopefully everyone manages to navigate that smoothly throughout the race. 2 corners to go for Natman Scoop. Throwing it deep in the apex, trying to carry as much speed as he can. Picks up the throttle, little bit of a wiggle, hard on the brakes, down a couple of gears, into the apex. Little bit of a slide there. That's going to cost him a bit of time, unfortunately. But we'll jump on board with P4 for the start. So sorry for missing some of the action there. That's fair enough, GT King. PS5, obviously superior to PS4. I decided to sit on the sidelines for this season, help out with some broadcasting, help out with some of the guys driving, any way I can help out really. Push myself pretty hard to maintain the pace every Tuesday, or every second Tuesday, and it's good to have a bit of a breather every now and again. So here we are, just relaxing while these guys battle it out. So I wasn't overly prepared for this. I don't have any track stats or anything for you. I do know Laguna Seca pretty well, but I don't know any of the corner names except for the corkscrew. But like I've said, I will do my best. Also haven't got myself up to speed with who's driving for what team. The draft obviously not being broadcast meant you had to go, not necessarily digging for the information, but you had to go and hunt for it. I haven't done that. This was sprung on me about 5 minutes before I started. Not that that's a bad thing, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, any feedback, volumes, or action that you think I've missed, definitely jump in the chat and help me out. Or if you want to fire up the PlayStation and come and join me, you are more than welcome to do that as well. Be welcoming to have some other drivers to talk to. Andrelli with the useful information as always. What would we do without you? I don't know why that's gone to my car. Yeah, this is definitely a little bit buggy, but we're going to make it work. I'm going to bring you some onboard action, some chase cam action, some bumper cam action, and that's about all the actions available to me. So GRT looking to kick the season off in style with a 0 putting it on pole, but Fly definitely managed to narrow the gap towards the end. I know that Macca is lightning quick in the hands of one Fly Sky, and I'll be keen to see what he does. A 0 proved his pace in the recent Bathurst round we had, as well as the GT4s. He's certainly shot up the ranks, and he is a force to be reckoned with. He's probably going to be the man to catch in this race, I reckon. Fly's going to bring everything he can to him. Metal, solid contender, always shows up, always has pace, and he is definitely not going to let the front two run away with it. Simon looking to convert on his AM championship from last season. Fellow South Australian go-karter there, so I'll be silently rooting for Simon, as well as all the BHR guys, but I won't bring you biased content here. Gazza, everyone knows Gazza. He's got some pace. Decided to challenge himself in the Aston this season. I know that struggles for pace a little bit, and without too many people running it, I'm not sure how he's going to go for all the setup knowledge. Might be flying a little bit blind, but 5th is a fantastic result for Gaz, and we know he knows how to keep his nose clean and just pick off spots when they're present to him. Psycho always had mad pace, possibly struggles with some consistency, but man, he knows how to put a lap together. Sparky, another season regular, another Audi. Audi seems quite popular this season. Definitely a fast car in the right hands, but you've got to know how to drive those MR cars. Christoph, another contender. He showed some brilliant pace in the AM series. Also stepped up into the Pro-Am, I believe, or the tier 1 PS4 room. Did alright up there as well, so it'll be interesting to watch him throughout the race, see how he does. Natman Scoop, another Aston, the older Aston by the looks of that. Interesting to see how he muscles that around. We've got the pretty shirt guy of Sir McSquid. Stozza doing very well in the GT4 series, managed to find a good bit of pace. And familiar GTR. So they make their way onto the warm-up lap. We might go for a bit of a scroll, see the techniques of people warming up their tyres. Everyone's got their own little tips and tricks to do. A lot like to ride the brakes, generate some heat through there, which conducts heat through to the tyres as well. A little bit of a wiggle, but you don't want to wear too much of your tyre. And you definitely don't want to pick up any track limits or any damage on the form-up lap. As we see Fly just trying to generate some heat with some quick left to rights on the brakes, on the throttle, on the brakes, bit of steering. Short lap, so you don't get a lot of opportunity to get right temperature in. So everyone's probably going to be heading down to turn 1 on cold tyres. Hopefully everyone can pull it up. There's a hairpin, as we all know, so often a recipe for carnage. As everyone is going to begin to form up double file, we have a nice slow cruisy start towards the start line when we will be green and racing. Inside definitely favoured here. Outside suicide, common saying everyone's probably heard, but inside around a double left, definitely the favoured position to be in. We'll probably see Metal try and capitalise on maybe run and Fly out wide. But I think we've got a room full of gentlemen here, so I expect space to be given. Everyone's found their positions, maintain a steady 70 kilometres an hour. And we are racing. Good start from Gaz, getting the jump. Safety tap of the brakes there. Looking for the inside. Plenty of space being given as I expected. No contact just yet. Back at the grid looks clean as well. Zero manages to hold his lead. Fly Sky ducks in back into second. Metal maintains third. Simon in fourth, so no order changes just yet from what I can see. Everyone is away cleanly, and a Zero is going to lead them through the double left, or the uphill left-hander. Definitely not a corner you want to get wrong. You want to tread carefully through there as we get through scot-free on lap 1. Stozza looking to put a move on Squid by the looks, nice and close. You can't win the race on race 1, so plenty of space, early braking happening. Beautiful to see. A little bit of a gap between P1 and P2 now. Looks like Metal possibly had a little bit of a moment, bunching the field up, but a Zero and Fly have managed to check out by the tune of 1.2 seconds. And Fly is definitely not going to want to watch that Bentley drive off in the distance. The Simon actually dropping back a little bit from Metal as well. Might have missed a little bit of the action there. But everyone's still maintaining their order. Christoph was looking racy there on that man's scoop. We know he's got some pace in the Bentley, and Sparky looks like he's... Oh, and he's just run a bit wide and managed to loop it. Very unlucky there for Christoph. We had Sparky looking to put a move on Psycho as well. We just saw that in the distance. Dropped off a little bit through the two right-handers. Looks like the field is going to bunch up a little bit up here though. We've got Simon in the Ferrari, followed by Gaz in the Aston, being hunted down by two rapid Audis. Very tricky corner to get right. Natman Scoop looking to get a piece of this action as well. Looks like we might have a train forming for P5, even P4. Oh, his medals actually come back into the clutches of Simon there. And the leaders doing it pretty easily at the moment. Extending that lead to second. Looking just to check out. Fly's looking to just keep a zero within distance. If he nails all his pit stops, there's nothing saying he can't make up 0.9. Oh, Zero getting a bit of a slide on. Does that a bit too much. He might chew his tyres out. Fly looking to get a nice run through those two right-handers. He's just got to breathe and focus and just be aware that he's the one putting the pressure on, not feeling the pressure. Everyone's still following through in order. Don't expect too much action in the early stages of a 60-minute race. If there's too much action going on, something's gone very wrong. Everyone's still line and stern, making sure they don't make a mistake. Oh, just as I've said. Oh, two of them tandem. Gaz has gone round with Psycho there. Psycho looks to get on the underway much faster. Oh, we've got Squid maybe redressing, possibly some contact there. If we had better camera angles, I might have been able to tell you that. That's very unfortunate for these two, but it is a long race. There possibly will be more moments like that they can capitalise on. They've just got to stay clean. But we'll jump back on board with the leaders for now. Another second back to second, and Fly managing to keep that gap around the second. Zero loves to hang the end out around that corner. Hopefully he's not feeling some tyre wear, or he's got the pressures wrong and they may be too cold or too hot. Either way, he's putting on a clinic at the moment. Looks to be pretty comfortably out there in the lead. But Simon inherits fourth from Gaz. So Simon's going to be eager to jump up on the podium. He's just going to try and keep that Ferrari as clean as he can on the black stuff and hope some people in the road fall off. Or maybe just settle into a groove and let the race come to him. Very experienced operator is Simon. Knows how to win a race, knows how to race smart. It's also benefited Sparky all that early action. He's jumped himself up to 5th. Can't remember where he started. I think he was down in the 7th, 8th area. So a couple of spots for Sparky. We know how consistent he is. I think he managed to do most of Bathurst without getting a scratch on the car. That's not an easy feat, I can tell you that. Stoz also jumping up near the back with Familiar, and they've all jumped up 4 spots. So definitely a couple of beneficiaries early on. Oh, we've had a disconnect. We've just lost Psycho. That's a shame. I hope that wasn't a rage quit. I hope that was well, I don't hope that was a disconnect. But very unlucky there for Psycho. Not what you want on race 1. Round 1, you're just going to be on the back foot for the rest of the season. So poor Psycho there. Hey, Barra. Sorry, just had a bit of action. Tuned out of the chat for a bit. But good to see you there, Barra. Happy to jump on and bring you the action. Apologies for all the technical difficulties. We've got Gaz looking to make up some spots here. Familiar doesn't want to give it up, going defensive on the inside. Gaz not going to throw it around the outside, looking for the over-under. Didn't carry the mid-corner, and he's dipped a wheel, which is going to alleviate any chance of a run he has. Got to carry a bit more speed through here, but just a fine line to balance. Familiar pulling it up nicely, not giving Gaz anywhere to go. Making sure the car's under control before putting his foot down. That's the way you stay on the black stuff for the 60 minutes. But Gaz is going to want to get past. He's going to feel he has the pace. And he's going to want to get back up to where or near where he qualified, where his pace should sit him. We'll stay on board. I have to go into my car to change the camera angle, so I don't want to miss any of this action because he looks close enough for a dive. But I will endeavour to bring you some onboard cam throughout the race as well, maybe when it settles down a bit. Zero extending that lead to Fly, so these are the two closest cars on track at the moment. No early pit stoppers. I thought maybe if there was some contact we might have seen some early stoppers, but maybe no one wanting to run tyres at the 52 minutes. As Gaz gets a bit of a run now, Familiar moves it all the way over to the left, blocking up the inside. Gaz looking to send it around the outside this time. No, he's run wide. Not going to have enough speed for the over-under. But he does have a little bit more speed coming into the fast left. This is all commitment. Just got to carry as much speed as you can. Possibly a blind turn-in point depending on the view he's using. The car in front can obstruct that quite severely. Both of them on the power nicely out of the corkscrew. Very easy to unsettle the car. Oh, Familiar running a bit wide there. Gaz can't capitalise yet. He's going to want to get past. He's looking racy. Should carry more speed through here. He's not going to send it up the inside, but he might try the over-under. Now he's been held wide. Now it's a drag race. See who's running less wing or whose car's got the most legs. Gaz definitely close enough for a look into turn one. It's going to be a bit of a send. Can send it around the outside here if you maintain the corner speed. Looks like he's got a bit of overlap and he's just yielded the overlap to Familiar. Oh, and he just grabs a bit too much throttle and gets a bit taily. Unlucky for Familiar there, but Gaz is going to relish in that. We've lost another driver as well. Sir McSquid has disappeared. They're dropping like flies. We're not even 10 minutes into the race yet. So we are down to 10, so congratulations to everyone on their top 10 finish. Gaz dropping another wheel. Familiar not going to have the run on him though. Possibly just going to watch this Aston drive off into the distance. He's got a 3-second gap to Christoph, who we know has shown some pace in previous seasons. He's looking to make some ground up from that early spin. And it looks like Stoz has had a moment somewhere, missed that, but he's dropped off the back of the pack by about 11 seconds. Not out of it yet, but we've seen a fair bit of action yet, and if you just manage to drive a clean race, you can pick up some spots. Jumping back up to the leaders. Fly still hanging with the Zero. He's given him a couple of tenths. The Zero might be feeling a bit more confident now. Second and a half's definitely an easier gap to manage than under a second. So Zero with a bit of breathing space now. Fly extending the gap to Metal, so he's looking comfortable for second. If he gets close enough, it looks like he will be able to send a move, or try a move, I should say. We don't want to see moves getting sent. Pulling it up beautifully for Corkscrew. In fact, if I tee this up, you should be able to do some on-board action with Fly for a lap. We'll see how he muscles this McLaren around. Oh, it's a Zero. He grabs a bit too much sausage. He's off. Fly's right on him now. Zero's going to have the dirty tyres. He holds Fly out wide. Does maintain the race lead though. And that 1.3 second gap is now down to 0.3 of a second, and a Zero is definitely going to be feeling that pressure. We jumped on board with Fly at the right time. Beautifully tucked into the apex there, just feathers the throttle, making sure not to light the rears up. We have seen a Zero get a bit loose through here. He carries a lot of entry speed in, gives Fly a massive drive out. He looks to send the move. Oh, it's going to be hard to get it done there. Definitely threatening. A Zero going to be feeling the pressure. Fly's going to be relishing in this battle. Just jumped the curb a little bit there. The gap down to Metal still 6.6. It hasn't slowed the leaders down much. They're probably going to be aware of that, managing the gap, managing the cars around him is a very big part of this racing game. It's as mental as it is physical, if not more mental sometimes, if you got to work hard. Both cars look to be very dialed through Corkscrew. The Zero is the lead car, definitely having a bit of an advantage with being able to spot his braking markers and turn-in points as we see him extend that gap. But Fly doing a fantastic job tucked in behind. we're approaching 1/4 race distance. No early pitters yet. I'm expecting pit window, well the pit window's open, but I'm expecting to see people start pitting anytime from 20 minutes into the race till the end really, if they've fueled up. Zero once again kicking the tail out around that corner. Be interesting to see how the tyre wear goes towards the end of the stint here. But thanks to that off from a Zero there, these two are the closest cars on track and they are fighting for the lead. Gaz jumps in the pits now. We do have a pitter. Just have a look at his car there. Nothing jumped out to look too bad, maybe just getting out of some traffic. Can't go, I can't look back either. The car does seem to be in good order. So hopefully just a routine stop there for Gaz. He is going to lead the way in terms of pit stops. So he's just going to aim for some clear track. Not sure where he's going to slot out. And he's just going to have to put the fast laps in. And hopefully the undercut strategy will yield him benefits. Zero using all the track plus some there. Really looking to maximise the turn-in angles for these corners and carry as much mid-corner speed as he can. That previous karting experience shining through there. Karts not known for their power, so they're all about carrying as much mid-corner as you can, and you've really got to use the most of the track, the most of the tyre, and the most of your body weight as well to really carry that mid-corner. But a little bit more breathing space for a Zero now. Hopefully didn't get too comfortable and caused the mistake last time, but everyone does seem to be spread out now. These two are still the closest cars on track that are on the same lap. Looks like Gaz has come out behind Familiar again, so that's going to be a familiar position for Gaz. Pardon the pun. But he, on the fresh tyre, is definitely going to look to chase down and dispatch Familiar quickly. Familiar not going to get any blue flags because he is on. Gaz is a lap down, thanks to the pit stop. Just making sure to not make any mistakes there. We got Stoz in the pits, so Stoz blinks as well. Hopefully that's not due to damage either. Have a quick look. A little bit of battle scars on that car actually. We'll see if he's going to give it a paint job. Should be a bit of a pace discrepancy now here as Familiar will start to feel the tyre wear. Gaz will be running full fuel till the end though, so that will slow his top end down and make the car just feel a little bit more solid, not quite as dynamic around the corners and in the brakes, but he may have it tuned up for good fuel, for full fuel. This may have been a strategy for him. Maybe he knew more about the temps. We are sitting at 30 degrees, which is a little bit cooler than quali and practice, if I remember correctly. So it'll be interesting to see if the drivers were aware of that and knocked their pressures up or down. Assume up for the cooler temperatures, but I guess it depends on how you drive. The Stoz clears his mandatory stop, rejoins the track back in 10th. Gaz edging ever so closer to Familiar. Familiar doing a great job there to keep that car there in 6th. Both pulling it up, meeting that apex, dipping the car down right. Gaz using a bit more of the racetrack, trying to carry some more speed, hang it out wide and throw the car down. Very deceiving corner, and Familiar's just going to let him go, possibly not liking the pressure there that Gaz was putting on him. Knows he's not battling for position so much there because Gaz is up a pit stop. So smart move there from Familiar. He's just going to tuck in and follow, maybe benefit from the draft if he manages to stay close enough. But Gaz is going to begin his descent in relatively clean track. He's got about 20 seconds ahead of him. So we'll jump back up to the leaders, see how Fly's doing chasing down a zero. He's managed to keep that gap just checked out to over a second, 1.5 seconds, and it stayed consistent for about 3 laps now. So both drivers settling into a rhythm. Maybe a bit shocked by what happened before, but it does go to show the sausage curbs here are just that unforgiving. Definitely a track that you want to practice and get a rhythm on. You want some concrete braking markers and some turn-in points just to make sure you're never turning in too early and even too late, because how tight these turns are. If you turn in too late, you are losing a couple of kilometers per hour in the mid-corner speed, which you're just going to pay for all the way up until the braking zone for the next turn. Not a lot of reference points around this track either. A lot of the markers that people will be using are the boards on the side. They are susceptible to being taken out. Always a smart idea to try and get some extra reference points in, just in case those markers do tend to go flying somewhere else throughout the race. Metal doing a good job hanging in third here. He's running his own race. He's got 10 seconds in front and 8 seconds behind. Similar position to Simon there, just moseying around, keeping the car clean. He's not going to fall off the track and give up a spot to anyone. We've lost another driver. Stozza has gone after pitting. It's a shame when there's 40 minutes to go and we're down to 9 drivers. Closest 2 on track, still our lead 2 drivers. Is this going to be the start of a story that has to take 5 rounds to unfold? I'm hoping so, and I'm hoping we get some broadcast issues fixed before the next race, boys, because I understand just watching in chase cam isn't the most ideal situation, but it is the view that gives us the most of our most of what we have available. So just wondering, after Gaz's pit stop there, he has come down a lap and a half behind the leaders. We know he had that moment that we saw through the corkscrew. I'm wondering if he possibly had another one which forced an early pit stop. It does look like he's lost a significant amount of time. But we do know, well, if he's not a lap away from Christoph, so Christoph just coming in there in the 3rd to last corner. And Gaz starting a lap. So that gap definitely larger than half a lap there. I wonder if they're on the same lap at the same time. We'll have to wait for the pit stops to unfold to find that out. A bit hard to stay on top of everything when you're trying to follow the action. But still, closest 2 cars for position are Fly and Zero. I feel like we're going to get sick of me saying that. It looks like it's going to be a story untold or unresolved until the end. Interesting to see who blinks first. Races can be won or lost on strategy. You do have to have your strategy planned out to maximise your own potential, as well as have that dynamic element based on the race. So you got to use your pit stop wisely. You can get out of traffic, you can pit when someone's putting pressure on behind you. I personally use this all the time. Always thinking about what the best time to pit is. You want to know how long you can run on a set of tyres, how much fuel you're going to need, what your car's like with low fuel, full fuel. So you can just, Fly's just run a little bit wide there, giving up a little bit more time to a Zero. I dare say he's not going to let a Zero run away yet though. We have seen Fly put in some good laps, but a Zero is looking pretty comfortable now as we are rapidly approaching halfway through the race. Stays out. I think we're going to see a Zero run as long as his fuel tank's going to allow. He does have clean track and everyone in front will be getting blue flags. So he's got Christoph in the distance, so he's looking to put Christoph a lap down. Christoph may be suffering with some damage, or maybe just not getting some practice in before this race. I'm not going to speculate on what happened, but it is good to see him back for Season 8, and I'm hoping to see him show some of that pace that he managed to bring in Season 7. That man Scoop looks to have got around Familiar. Not sure if I missed a position change. Oh, Familiar, he stays onto it. Well done, good hold. But Natman Scoop doing well, sitting pretty in 6th there. Bit of a gap there to Sparky God. Sparky managing to keep that Audi looking schmick, keep the car nice and tidy, and just focus on his own race. We know he's good for it. Metal Steel still sitting pretty in 3rd there. He's got a comfortable gap now. 10.5 in front, 10.5 behind. And Simon with 10.5 in front and 16.5 behind. It is a long race though. Positions aren't resolved in the first 24 minutes of a race. But everyone is able just to put their head down, focus on what they're doing, focus on hitting their marks. No one's really getting any immediate pressure. Everyone's able to spot their turn-in points and their braking markers. So we're not expecting to see too many mistakes leading into this. Beautifully pulled up there by Sparky. Gotta respect Corkscrew, especially in these MR cars. Don't know how these guys are doing it. Sparky, Simon, even Fly in that McLaren. Yet to turn a lap in the McLaren. As we all know, I'm a bit of a Bentley fanboy. Growing up driving rear-wheel drive V8s, and not necessarily V8s, but just rear-wheel drive. It was definitely the most natural progression for me into this game, and I just haven't let it go since. It looks like we've got a bit of a train forming up here behind Familiar. It's Christoph managing to find the gap up to Familiar, so just missed what happened to Familiar maybe. Possibly suffering from tyre wear. It looks like he's struggling to pull that car up everywhere, and he's going to come under the clutches of Christoph very soon. Even a little bit of a slide there in 1st gear. We've got Christoph. He is bringing the leaders in tow with him. So Zero about to encounter some lap traffic. It's going to be the first time he's seen the back of a car all race. As Metal blinks. So Metal jumps into the pits. Hard pit entry to get right, but he's done that beautifully. Christoph will be receiving the blue flags now. Zero is within the distance. We should be able to see them sticking out from the flag marshal posts. And as Christoph's not going to want to lose too much time here to Familiar. He's going to want to let a Zero go past in the way that suits him the most. We've got Sparky in the pits. Sparky blinks as well as we're approaching half race distance. Zero carrying a lot of speed through there, using all the track and throwing it left. Had to have another stab at the brake there just to settle the car. We do see the blue flags waving. Christoph going to look to pull on to the side of the track at the safest place, possibly on the start-finish straight, and let a Zero begin. Oh, Zero just hanging on the throttle there. And he's going to blink. He's going to jump into the pits. We'll see what Fly does. Fly stays out. So Zero's given Christoph and Familiar a bit of respite there. But now they're going to come under the clutches of Fly, who is muscling that McLaren around. Looked like the time delta did show Zero lose a little bit of time there, possibly based on the distraction. It did look like he stayed off the throttle a bit down into that bottom right-hander. But Fly needs to put the laps of his life in here. He's got 3 seconds to make up. And if a Zero hit his marks in the pits, he is stopped. We did miss that. Then the pressure is going to be on Fly to perform a lovely pit stop. Pushing hard, as you can see. Dips 2 wheels. Luckily doesn't get bucked off by the bump at the end of the curb there. But he's not closing fast enough, I would say. So Simon temporarily inherits 2nd place thanks to Metal Steel pitting. And Metal Steel coming out with 3 cars in between, and Sparky got behind. So that I guess that makes sense based on the 16-second gap that we saw. That does mean Sparky is going... Oh no, that was the across the timing line. So Sparky does have very clean track, as does Metal Steel. So it's gone well for both of them there. They're not in that little battle pack. So we'll see Fly. Fly stays out again. Now I think we're going to see Fly run as long as that fuel tank will go. Try and win the race. Try and do the pass in the pits. We know this track is incredibly hard to pass on. And if you can get the job done in the pits, that saves you so much trouble. I'm personally a big fan of running different strategies to the people that are surrounding you in pace. Like I said, passing on track, not the easiest thing when there's not a large pace discrepancy. Fly really trying to maximise track limits there. We've seen him dip a couple of wheels as he repeats again on the right-handers. Really trying to maximise this. It's going to be very interesting to see where he comes out of the pits in relation to Zero. So Christoph going to be experiencing the blue flags again now. It's going to be becoming a familiar sight. Fly looking close enough that he might be compromised in his lines now. Definitely braking early to not make contact, and he's right under that rear wing of that blue Bentley from Christoph. Fly trying to carry a lot of speed there, just losing the rear momentarily, but gathered it up. Zero is going to be on fresh rubber. He is going to know, and Fly blinks. Fly pits, so Christoph given more breathing space. Fly pulled it up nicely there. Manages to keep it off the tyres. We'll just quickly stay on board, see if he hits his marks, and we'll see where his Zero is. Watching the leaderboard, I haven't missed too much action, I don't think, there. Pulls it up nicely in his box by the looks of it. And his pit stop will begin. So a Zero coming through the fast left. Does have clear track, although he does have a Aston Martin of Gaz in front of him by a couple of seconds. So hopefully Zero's had some clean out laps. Fly still stationary and has a long run out of pit lane. Zero looking like he's going to retain the lead of the race. Fly underway. Oh, that's going to feel like an eternity for him there, as a Zero is going to manage to go sailing by and possibly extend that lead. It was 2.8 seconds. He is going to be up to pressures. Fly is going to be running on cold pressures. Very hard pit exit to get right as well. Fly half rally car for us tonight. Well, when the timing screen updates, we'll get a read of that gap. But Fly will have fresher tyres, although he's going to have to wait for them to come up to attempt to use them. And we've got Simon in the pits. So Simon completing his stop. He has given that spot back to Metal. And Natman Scoop's also going to sneak through, although he has a pit stop to go. So Familiar also sneaking through, and Christoph. So Simon got a bit of traffic in the way. This is going to be for position, so there will be no blue flags waved. Simon's going to have to get by them once he catches them, or hope they pull off into the pits. But our 3 people yet to stop are in a little bit of a train. It is extended by a bit, but they're covered by about 10 seconds. Natman Scoop, first of the no stoppers. Be interesting to see where he's going to come out. He will give a spot back to Simon, and he will be giving a spot back to Sparky. There's just not enough racetrack between them to avoid that, unless there's a moment. Gaz all the way back at turn 2 or turn 3. Might get close there with Gaz. Gaz not having the race he'd won on season 1 or season 8 round 1, but racing in the PS5 league, if they fix their bugs, he's not going to be too concerned here. So there we see the update. 4.5 seconds. Zero managing to do the pit stop sequence with in and out laps. 1.5 seconds faster than Fly. And that is going to give him a comfortable breathing room. Did you see some black 11s flying off to the left there? So I did miss someone in the fence at some point of the race. And 2 of the 3 to stop have come in together. Interesting strategy for Christoph to follow Familiar in. He's going to have to do the passing on track now, like we spoke about earlier. But that man Scoop staying out. Obviously fueled up for a while. He's going for the overcut strategy. We'll see how that pans out once he comes out of the pits. We've got a Zero chasing down Gaz, looking to put Gaz another lap down here. Or possibly just a lap down. The timing screen, not the easiest to read when you haven't been tracking it that well. So we have got Christoph and Familiar down a lap now, which looks like Gaz must be on the lead. Well, maybe not quite the lead lap, but he hasn't officially been overlapped by the looks of this, possibly. And that man Scoop pits. So he had a handy buffer to Familiar by the tune of about 8 seconds. Oh, he missed his box. That's going to cost him a couple of seconds there. Hopefully not 8 seconds. But Gaz has been given a couple of spots here through getting out there and cutting in consistent laps. Oh, Familiar. I've just tuned in at the wrong time. That is not a commentator's curse. We missed it. Don't blame me. But very unlucky for Familiar. Just come out the pits. Would have had a fresh car and just managed to find the fence. Very unlucky, and he's managed to stall it. Things are going from bad to worse there, but he does rejoin safely. And he's given Christoph a spot. So Christoph not having to fight for that, as that man Scoop completes his pits. He's going to have a massive lead here on Christoph. More than 8 seconds, one would think. He's already accelerating out of the pits. So Natman Scoop doing the pit sequence well there. Must have had a good in lap. He's going to begin his chase on Gaz, who's just coming around turn 2. So a bit of work to do there for Natman Scoop. Fly managing to keep that gap to 0 even, but he needs to start finding time if he wants a shot at the top step here. As he finds a couple of tenths, if he can do that in each sector, will look good. Looks like a 0's got past Gaz as well. If I know Gaz, he would have just given that spot up nicely. Gaz is an avid obeyer of the rules, knows them well. Absolute gentleman to drive with. Fly is going to be coming up on Gaz very shortly. He's got about 2.5 seconds to Gaz now. And the pace differential throughout the race has been probably to the tune of a bit over a second. Gaz maybe not just getting the race setting right, or maybe sporting a little bit of damage. But he can't take anything away from the 2 leaders here. They've been doing well. Fly found another couple of tenths. So Fly keeps hitting his marks like this and just finding a tenth or 2 here and there. Now we're going to have another over 10 laps. Well over 10 laps actually. And you know, a tenth in every sector, 2 tenths in every sector there. He's gonna bring that gap down quite rapidly. Although we do possibly have the case where we've got 2 very different cars. Got the MR McLaren and the FR Bentley. Possibly very good at different parts of the track. I'm unable to oh, Fly really getting ambitious. He loves dipping the dirt in that corner. Going to have to rein his turn-in point or his braking marker there if he wants a shot at this lead, because the 0 doesn't look like he's going to make a 4-second mistake. We did see him go off before. It only cost him a second. It's a similar saying to when you learn to ride a bike. You got to learn how to fall. So you got to learn how to fall safely so that you can actually start progressing in your riding without fear. Same with motos. It's even in go-karts and racing and stuff. You've got to learn how to have an off, how to aim for a gap in the fence, or keep the car off of the wall, and you know, you got to learn those things, because it is inevitable that mistakes are going to happen, and you want them to happen in the safest way possible in order to prevent any injury, or maybe not worse, but definitely worse for the wallet, riding off someone else's car. So the gap's still staying level here. Fly still trying to hunt down Gaz, has closed that gap a bit. They are the two closest cars on track now. There's a Zero just managing to eke out a couple of tenths here. Not sure 35 minutes is going to be long enough to notice the discrepancy in tyre wear. I think they were about 5 minutes away from pitting. So, well, 5 minutes between them for pitting. Oh, Gaz gets a bit squirrely, completely loses, and he's going to pull off the racing line and let Fly go past. Good awareness there from Gaz. He would have seen his mirrors quickly filling up green. There is some team play there. He's going to want Fly to have the best chance at running up the front there. Unfortunately, did lose Sir McSquid, another BHR driver. But between Fly, Gaz, Simon and Squid, they made up a third of our grid tonight. So we've got a Zero for GRT leading the way. Fly for BHR, trying his best to hunt him down. Metal Steel, he's still sitting comfortable there in third. Big gap back to Simon, representing a new team. So this is technically the first race for Podium Racing Team. Nice little achievement there for Bounty, have his own team. Bounty does some fantastic work over on the podium. Always seems like the website's got a fresh look. Very refreshing, so massive credits to Bounty there. Go and show him some support, buy him a coffee or a beer down the bottom of the website there. It's not free to do all that, and Bounty definitely doing great things for the league by running all of that. I know I'm personally very thankful for that, as well as everyone behind the scenes. Andrelli, everything he does, JJ, Adman, K-Man, Jamie as well, broadcasting, stepping up and offering all the help. You know, the league doesn't run without volunteers, and I'm personally proud to be a part of it and experience some of this great racing. I've had some great battles with some guys in this league, including some in this race. So it's good to sit back and have a watch. Actually, it's quite refreshing. But yeah, Metal representing PRT there, looking to bring home a podium on their first outing. I might get off him so I don't commentators curse him there. Be a very good achievement to bring home some silverware for their first ever race. But Simon representing BHR again. We know he's very good at just cutting in the consistent laps. He stays out of trouble. We saw it all season. He didn't win a race in Season 7 and he wrapped up the championship. So it just shows you've just got to be there. You just got to be thereabouts, keep the car clean, keep it consistent, and the race will come to you. Sparky, another PRT driver, Podium Racing Team. Got to get used to all the acronyms. Oh, familiar in the pits, so not able to sport that damage that we saw through that moment. He is coming in for a fresh lick of paint. That will all be on the front, which I can't show you, although he stopped it out of the pit lane there. Hopefully not a sign of things to come. We'll jump back on with Sparky, give him a wrap. Sparky always shows up, always happy to race, very active as well. Always up there, he's had some great pace at some of the events. Seems to have that Audi pretty comfortable. Managing to keep an Audi off the fence here is no mean feat. He's done well there. Gaz up to 6th now, so he manages to find his way around Natman's scoop. Possibly with an incident. Looks like he may have lost a bit of time to Christoph there, a couple of seconds. So Gaz up to 6th after we saw him lapping in last for a bit, but he was the first stopper. Hopefully tyre wear holds up. He may have had to guess a little bit with his pressures. See what the race has done. We have dropped by a degree. Not going to be a noticeable change. Natman Scoop running possibly as a privateer, or maybe not, just running the correct number scheme. I'm not sure there. Might have to update you on that in a later round. And we've got Christoph, the sole SAR representative left, at least. I can't remember. Oh, and that's that man Scoop gone. That's unfortunate, because that... Will that be for position? That was for position. So Christoph finds himself another spot up. Been given 2 positions in the last 10 minutes. He's going to be loving that. A little bit far away from Gaz, so it might be all she wrote there for Christoph. Familiar still in the pits, either a lot of damage or just parking it up. Fly, we'll check back up with the leaders there. Fly still keeping that gap honest to a 0. 4.5 seconds is not out of the equation for a moment, a big moment. Possibly grabbing a bit too much sausage at the fast left, or rotating the car in corkscrew. Definitely going to cost you more than 5 seconds, so he's keeping himself in it. But a 0, doing it comfortably out in front. We'll maybe see if we can bring you an onboard lap from a 0 and see how he's doing it. We'll give him a lap and a half. I'll talk you through a fast lap, and we'll enjoy this one in silence. So he's going to round the final turn, bang it down, first gear, help the car rotate, get on the power as early as you can, maximise the power of that V8 Bentley, bang a couple of gears, crosses the line to start his lap, got a blind crest into a downhill braking into turn 1, spot the braking marker, bang it down to gear, maintain second, helps with the throttle, first gear can light up the rears here, gets on the power as early as you dare, up to third, and just roll it into the apex on the power. Nicely done there. A little bit of a squirm, keeps it in third for the right hander, avoids the sausage, runs out wide and foot flat again, banging it up a couple of cogs as we go underneath the mother's bridge. He's going to click it down to third, help the car rotate in, finds the apex nicely, runs it out wide, and he begins his run up to the fast left. Maximum commitment required through here. Uses all the track, dips it in, runs it out wide. Lovely clinic display there from a 0, running up to the corkscrew. Possibly one of the hardest corners on the track. Keeps it in second for stability. Very blind corner through there, and just a long corner. You've got to be patient on the throttle. Just feeds the throttle on there. You can hear the application, very progressive. Turn in earlier than you think for this right-hander and let the camber of the road do its work. And as soon as the curb starts, bang it back down to second as a 0 takes us around a flying lap at Laguna Seca. Very well done there from a 0. So he is absolutely consistent. Opened up the gap by 1.2 seconds to Fly on that lap. So Fly just fallen away slightly. Does have a very comfortable gap back to third as Metal Steel is just rounding the last corner, beginning lap 32. Down to the final 13 or 14 minutes of the race. Positions seem... no one's really going to come under a threat from a pass. The only position changes we're going to see will be due to moments or offs on the track. It's like a comfortable couple of seconds between every car now. That man Scoop recovered well from that little spin. And we've lost Gaz. Gaz has unfortunately fallen victim of a disconnect. We just saw him coming up to the fast left and we jumped. Boys, that man Scoop takes some flying lessons mid-race. Keeps the car off the fence. Not the easiest thing to do once you're airborne. You don't have any grip when the tyres aren't touching the ground. But that is going to give everyone an extra position who was behind. So Christoph up to 6th now, gifted another spot. So Christoph, after having a troublesome start to the race, has found himself with a decent points haul in 6th. Not sure if he's running the PS5, so if his points do count, he will be looking pretty competitive for the rest of the season. Oh, Fly Sky, the gap down to 3.6. Taken 3 seconds out of a 0 there. Not sure what happened there. Like I said earlier, a little tap of the sausage can cost you a couple of seconds. Will that have rattled a Zero's confidence? We are going to have to wait and find out. He looks to have got back into the groove here, but Fly is going to have the bit between his teeth. He's going to see that car in the distance. He's just got to breathe, stay calm. Definitely late braking. He's hungry. He wants this. If a Zero had a spin, maybe cook some tyre pressures as well. Maybe running with some high pressures, and that's going to cost him for a little bit. The track not getting much cooler, still maintaining 29 degrees. Fly looking hungry. He's eating the sausage as well. Shoot another 10th out of that gap there. He can see a Zero, possibly not really seen him that close for a couple of laps now, and he will be hungry. So Metal still with a comfortable gap. He's got a lapped car behind him, 2 PRT drivers. They're not gonna come together. They're gonna do what the team want to do. But Simon is coming up on the back of, that is a lapped car of Natman's Scoop. So Natman will get the blue flags, and he should let Simon by, so Simon can continue lapping in clean air. Gap neutralised a little bit here, back level to 3.5 seconds as Fly finds another 10th to make a liar out of me. Very good through that middle sector, the McLaren, it seems. High aero car through the aero section, does make sense. But are we on for an exciting finish here? Zero will be seeing that McLaren edge closer, watching the timing delta, and once you start to feel uncomfortable and start to race looking in your mirror, that's when the mistakes start to creep in. Neutralise the gap there through the last sector. The Zero doing what he needs to do very well there. He knows at this rate Fly is not going to catch him fast enough, but all Fly needs to do is just find a couple of tenths and keep building that pressure onto a Zero, and you can bet your bottom dollar that a Zero will start to feel it. But big shame we've lost a couple of drivers here. We are down 4, which is a third. 2 of them being BHR drivers, and unfortunately I can't quite remember what team Psycho races for, or Stoz. Actually Stoz was yellow, so that would be a dead giveaway for P&L. So they don't have any representatives here. You definitely want to consider PS4 lobby drivers. They can have a big play in the team's championship, because if you don't have any representatives, it's just the other teams making points on you. So definitely choosing the team, bit of strategy involved there. I'm lucky I don't have to think about it. I'll leave that to the team captains. That's not an easy job. No one's going to want to sign up for that one. We'll see what the gap is as they cross the line here. It looks pretty steady. So Zero shaking the pressure off very well, showing a very mature drive, and it's nearly identical. So they're just trading lap times now and knocking the laps down, and that's exactly what a Zero wants to see. If Fly was eating that gap out by 2 tenths a sector, you would start to panic that he'll be on you towards the end. But little mistakes like that from Fly, that's where those 2 tenths are going to go. You cannot afford, there's another 10th there just by clipping the dirt. You cannot afford to give that time away when you're on the hunt. Nevertheless, second is an absolutely fantastic result for Fly here. Zero is managing to keep that white Bentley for GRT. He has led every minute. Well, actually, I think he might have pit and given the lead up, but he has been the net rate, or the metaphorical race leader for the duration. As Fly finds another 210, so Fly managing to keep the car together through that sector and do what he needs to do and just eat that time out. It's a very short sector in the last one, and dipping a wheel isn't going to help his case there, but if he does chew this gap down, there might be enough time for an exciting finish. Thank you to everyone for tuning in as well. Sorry we couldn't bring you the fancy broadcast with all the camera angles. Buttons do not work well for me. But we've managed to bring you some onboard action. Most of it's been in chase cam, unfortunately. And the car's still very spread out. Once again, Fly and a Zero are the closest two cars on the track, although a Zero is rapidly approaching the 411 of Sparky, that Audi. Couple of laps left in the race. It looks like he might come under fire from a Zero to go a lap down, or another lap down. I'm not actually sure who's on the lead lap anymore. Hopefully incident free, because Fly is definitely within striking zone. We'll see how Zero's going with a car in front. We know he's not used to it during this race. He's led relatively comfortably. He's just had to keep the car straight. And that's just a testament to this track, really. It's a very hard track to pass. If you're only a couple of tenths away from the guy in front, it is nearly impossible to find a way past without them making a small error, especially out of a corner and suffering from speed. So Sparky's just going to pull it off to the left and let Azuro go sailing by. So we're not going to see an incident there. Well done to Sparky. Fly will be next on the list, so Sparky familiar with the process now, and he's going to be able to see that Fly is in P2 and he's not going to want to impede that. So I think based on Sparky's been doing very well here, so that would have probably only just put him a lap down. So very good effort there in that Audi. Hard car to drive, and it looks to be in showroom condition, as is a common attribute to Sparky. Oh, we've got a Bentley off. That's familiar again, finding the gravel. So he did manage to get out of the pits. Must have been a lot of damage, or maybe something else came up, but he is still circulating. Looks to have shaken his rhythm a fair bit though. So we will rejoin Fly as he approaches. And he's just got that a little bit wrong through the corkscrew. Got that gap down to 3 seconds to a 0, and we are going to see that gap fly out to a bit over 4 seconds with a mistake like that. He's also given Sparky a bit of breathing room. Sparky not going to have to act too quickly here. Just under 4.5 minutes remaining, with lap times just over 90 seconds or just under 90 seconds. We can expect to see either 3 or 4 more laps. Hopefully everyone's done their fuel calculations right. I know I like to tune my fuel based on optimum lap times, just to be sure that it can't go any faster. The race can't be any faster than that. I employ other people to do the same. I hate to see people do a race a full 60 minutes and then lose it at the end on fuel. It's a mistake you'll only make once, typically, but it does suck, and if I can offer you any advice to help overcome that, then I will. Any other tips or anything, any other questions, you can feel free to hit me up on Discord or anything at any time. I'm happy to help out. I'd love to bring people up to speed and help them extract their full potential. So we did see that gap just dip over 4 seconds, and Fly still putting laps in. Sparky just pulls all the way over, giving Fly plenty of room, nearly allowing him to take the full racing line, and he nearly takes advantage of it. I'm beginning to think that dirt is Fly's racing line. He loves to use it. And we've got a 0 crossing line with 2:53 remaining. I think we are going to see 3 more laps here. I don't think he has the luxury of slowing down enough to really milk that timer down. And that man Scoop just staying off the line there, letting a 0 go fast. So he's going to go another lap down. Going to be comfortable gap back to Familiar though. So Natman Scoop not racing for position here, just getting out of the way. That's what we like to see. And Fly once again eating tenths out of that gap. He's going to be kicking himself over that little moment. Absolutely kicking himself. Massive credit here to Metal as well. Podium, bit of silverware for PRT. That's definitely a story that I'm gonna be proud to bring you. PRT's first podium finish. Whoa, Fly finding another 4 tenths on a 0 there. And Simon doing what Simon does best. He's coming up on Christoph actually, so not sure if I missed any moment or if that was natural progression. Either way, Simon maintains 4th and Christoph 6th, so there hasn't been anything major. But Christoph will be experiencing the blue flags. As Fly just loses another 3 tenths to a 0, maybe getting it a little bit loose. Oh, as we see Natman Scoop go all the way down. Not sure if that was intentional or not, but it does allow Fly a green pass through. And he will begin the penultimate lap, trying to bring home the 2nd place trophy. He did all he could to try and take it to a 0. But a 0, absolute class of the field tonight. He has not necessarily comfortably done it in quali. He was only 2 tenths clear, but he did lead the race. He managed to get through turn 1 clean. A few little moments here, but as comes with experience, he didn't let any of them cost him too much time, and he never let a car pass him for position that wasn't in the pits. So very well done for a 0 in round 1, and he will take the pole position bonus point. And likely to be the race win, as we see Christoph in the fence. No, that's Familiar again. Not having a good end to this race. As the clock falls to 1, he's crossed the line. He's crossed the line. Where does that put Fly? That puts Fly only less than a second away. Fly is going to be asking all the questions in his head. What was the 0 doing? 0 is now going to feel the pressure because he's got a mirror full of green McLaren. Fly just going a bit wide though and cost him a fair bit of time. But this is the finish we were hoping for. It unfortunately came in not so traditional style. Fly pushing so hard. He can see P1. He can see his hand on the gold trophy. Without a moment from a 0, I'm not sure he's going to be close enough. 0 got to navigate this cleanly. He misses the sausage. He keeps it within the bounds. Fly trying to carry as much speed as he can. The gap's still under a second. The 0 just needs to hit his marks and turn it in. Fly braking really late, pulls it up, gets it turned in, uses all the track, gets on the power as early as he can, possibly even running a little bit deep, but you can tell he wants it. As a 0 has 1.5 corners remaining, 1 corner remaining, and he's got a 2.5 up his sleeve. He pulls it up on the anchors nicely, turns it in, eats a bit of sausage to say thanks for coming, and he begins his drive to the finish line to take out round 1, season 8. Well done, a 0, and massive effort there for Fly. He chased him all the way from the start of the race and got within a second on the final lap. Well done to the podium. As Sparky crosses the line a lap down, he will maintain 5th. Natman Scoop does the same. We're going to see some donuts from Sparky. And Metal Steel has 1 corner to go to round out a podium result for PRT during their debut race. So big credit there to Metal Steel and the PRT guys. We've got Simon navigating corkscrew on the final lap. He does have a car behind him, but it is lapped. It is that Bentley of Christoph that we did see him behind before. So still 3 cars yet to cross the line, as well as the 4 unfortunate disconnects. Borough GRT get the win. Bit more silverware for that overflowing trophy cabinet of yours. But we are going to see Simon cross the line in 4th to end with 2 BHR drivers in the top 4. Christoph is going to round it 2 laps down. And Familiar, a couple of incidents at the end there. He's not going to be happy with that result. However, he is rewarded with 8th, which is only 8 points away from 1st. So, just goes to show, never quit a lobby. We don't like to see rage quits here. And you can pick up a few extra points with some disconnects. So, massive shame there for Gaz. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Barra, GT King, Andrelli, Sparky. I'll see you guys in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, throwing in some comments. And hopefully we can bring you a little bit more of a structured broadcast next time without the technical difficulties. If everyone wants to hang around, I might see if I can flick a invite to Azuro. I'm not sure if I'm friends with him. Doesn't look like I am. I will have to add a friend. We may have to leave that one for tonight. So, there's your results. To wrap up again, Azuro tried to wind the clock down nearly through the race win away, but managed to keep the charging McLaren and Fly behind him. Fly taking P2, Metal Steel P3, Simon P4 to capitalise on his great Season 7, Sparky in P5, Christoph P6 inheriting a couple of positions, Natman Scoop, great showing from him in 7th, and Familiar rounded out the finishing cars in 8th. Gaz with an unfortunate disconnect, Stoz, Squid and Psycho all experiencing the same fate. So thanks again for tuning in, and make sure you tune in on next Tuesday for PS5 round 1.